Okay, so I am going to go through the commands and the rules for squat, bench, and deadlift that are specific to USA Powerlifting. Some of the rules and commands are different for different federations. So I just want to clarify that everything that I'm going through is specific to USA Powerlifting. A couple things that are important before I even get into the commands and the rules for each lift are there will be 3 referees on the platform. You will have a chief referee directly in front of you, and you will have 2 side referees. Each of the referees will have a control that they will either give a white light if your lift is a good lift. They will give a red light if your lift did not meet the specifications or if you failed it for any reason. Generally, when they give a red light, they will also put a color for the red light. So it's either red, blue, or yellow. Each of those colors means it's the reason why you did not get the lift. And in the USAPL rulebook is a list of what constitutes what each color, what infraction it represents. So it's good to know because on the board, usually there's a board right behind you or it's to the side of you where the lights will display. Underneath it will be a little line, and that's where the color will display. They don't always have it at all meets, but more and more now they do, and so it's good to know. So that way you know the reason why you missed the lift. You can also always ask one of the referees. It just saves time and makes it more efficient if you can just look at the board and know why you didn't get the lift. So 3 referees, they'll have the control. You will get a command. You will get the announcement that bar is loaded. So the chief referee, when your bar is ready, it has the weight for your attempt that you're going to lift. The chief referee will say bar is loaded. Before you even step on the platform, after they say bar is loaded, you need to make sure that you are ready to get on the platform and already have, if you have any wrist wraps, that they're already secured, that your knee sleeves are already up, shoes tied, everything's ready. The only thing that you can adjust once you get on the platform is your belt. So you can adjust and close your belt when you're on the platform. Everything else needs to be ready before you step onto the platform. You get 1 minute from the time that the chief referee says bar is loaded until you can walk up, set up, step back, and then get the command for the lift, whether it's, squat, bench or deadlift for each of the lifts. You get 1 minute to do your setup, move around, do whatever you need to do. You can reset, you can do anything that you want to until you get that command to start. So with squat, I'm gonna go ahead and start with squat. The chief referee will say, bar is loaded. You can adjust your belt, you walk up to the bar, grab the bar, set up, take your time, do whatever you need to do. You get a minute, do your walkout. Now you need to lock your knees. Make sure your knees are locked because you will not get the squat command until your knees are locked and you're not moving around. So stand still, lock your knees, look straight ahead, and the chief referee will say squat. So at that point, you'll squat. And then you stand there, do not take a step, do not move, finish the lift, and the chief referee will say rack. And the spotters and loaders, you'll have spotters and loaders, at least 3 spotters and loaders around you. They will help you at that point move forward. So for the commands, it is very, very important that you do not jump the commands. Don't start your squat before they tell you to squat. Don't take a step or move forward until they say rack. That is something that I would encourage practicing in your training so that you always just stand motionless for a couple seconds before you start your set of squats or your single or whatever you're doing. And at the end of your set, lock your knees, stand motionless before you move forward. Jumping the commands, missing the commands is a red light. The next thing is, as I said, locking your knees. So the side refs and the chief ref, but the side refs will have their hand up, so will the chief ref. The side refs will put their hand down when they see that you're motionless and that you've locked your knees. Then that signals to the chief referee, okay, now the chief referee can give you the squat command. So make sure you lock your knees. What the side refs are looking for when you're actually doing the squat. So they're looking for you to hit depth, so they want you to be below parallel. So the top of your knee needs to be below your hip joint. If it's questionable, sometimes you're gonna get a red light, sometimes you're gonna get a white light. So I encourage, at least on the very first squat, your first attempt, make it unquestionable. Make it certain that you have hit depth so that you get all white lights. So you want to, so that obviously depth, they're looking for depth. They're looking for knees to lock at the top of the squat, both before you start the descent and then after you finish. They are looking for, there can't be any downward motion of the bar. So let me do this. So you cannot have any downward motion. So let's say you squat and you come up and go down and come back up. No downward motion allowed. It can stop, so you can go down and really, really be fighting and stop and push through. That's fine. Just can't have any downward motion. Cannot have any double bouncing at the bottom, so you can't come up, red light. You cannot have, your feet cannot move forward or laterally, so you can't slide them, can't move forward. Now you can, it's okay if you rock a little or your heel comes up or your toe comes up, it's okay. You just cannot, it cannot move at all. Your hands, so your grip, your thumb can be off the bar, but your fingers cannot. Your fingers need to be around the bar the whole time. The other thing, which just to take into account, if you miss the lift, you need to stay with the bar. Do not dump the bar. If you dump the bar, it puts the safety of the spotters in jeopardy, and you will be disqualified from the meet. So if anybody just dumps the bar and it wasn't an accident, then they'll most likely be disqualified from the meet. So that's for the safety of the spotters and loaders. So that is I think I've got everything for the squat, everything that I can think of. So commands, depth, lock your knees, no double bouncing, no downward motion of the bar, and don't move your feet and don't open your hands. So, okay, we're gonna move on to bench. So now we are going to move on to the rules for bench press. So with bench, the chief referee will be behind you, and of course you'll have the two side refs. So with bench, the commands for bench are, there's 3 commands. So once you unrack and your elbows are locked and everything's motionless, feet are down, butt's down, everything's ready, you will get the start command. So start, you will bring it down to your chest. Then you will hear the press command, you will press, and then you will get the rack command, rack. So start, press, and rack. And I'm gonna go through and show that and also describe the different infractions that can happen with bench and what the refs are looking for. So when you set up, again, same rule applies with you get 1 minute, bar is loaded. If you wear a belt for a bench, that's the only thing you can adjust on the platform. Everything else needs to be ready before you step on the platform. You get 1 minute to do your setup until you get the start command. So as long as you are all set up and ready to go and you get the start command and a minute hasn't gone by, then you're good to go. So you get your minute, bar is loaded, walk up to the bar, set up. Take your time. You'll unrack or you can get a lift off. And now the referees are looking for my butt to be on the bench. They're looking for my feet to be flat on the ground. And they're looking for my elbows to be locked. Once they see that I am ready for to start, they'll say, the chief referee will say start. I bring it down. It has to be on my chest, motionless. I'll get the press command, press. And then they're looking for my elbow to be locked. And then they will say rack. So things that cannot happen during the bench press. So elbows, again, have to be locked at the start and at the conclusion of the lift. The bar has to come down to my chest. It can't just come above. It can't be bouncing. If it's moving at all, you're not going to get the press command. So if it seems like it's taking forever, it's because they are looking for it to be motionless on your chest. Once they give me the press command, it can go up. It cannot come down again. It has to keep going up. Now it can, when I get press command, it can be like this one goes up, then this uneven is fine. The bar just cannot come down at all. I cannot raise my butt up at all during the lift. My feet cannot come up. My heels cannot come up. My feet cannot move at all. If they slide a little, that's okay, but you're trying to keep your feet planted to the floor. If your heels come up at all, or your toes, or they move laterally, then that's going to be a red light. So as far as your grip, your grip needs to be, it can't be false grip. So your thumb has to come under the bar. All your fingers have to stay on the bar. You have to have a nice grip on the bar. You cannot heave. So the other thing is you cannot, once you get the start command, you bring it down. Now they say press, and you bring it down, heave it into your chest, and use your chest momentum. So you can bring it down, you can sink it into your chest before you get the press command. You just can't do it after, because again, that's downward motion, downward movement. So start, press, rack. Again, just like for the squat, I encourage people during training to, as soon as they unrack, to hold for like 2 or 3 seconds, 2 seconds before they start. Go down. Always train with a good competition pause, just so you get used to not bouncing it off your chest. Because it does have to come to a stop, and you're going to wait for that press command. And then at the end, lock out and just hold for a couple seconds before you rack. So you don't want to miss commands. And those are the commands for bench. So now we will move on to deadlift. Okay, so now we will go over the commands for the last lift of the meet, the deadlift. Everybody's favorite lift. So with deadlift, there is one command. The only command is down. You do not get a command to start the lift. So the chief referee will give you the command down to put the bar down once you've completed the lift. They'll have their hand up, they will wait for you to finish the lift, and they will say down, and they will move their hand down, and you will put the bar down. So you will get 1 minute from when the chief referee says bar is loaded, you will walk out to the bar, you get your minute, take your time, do whatever setup you need to do. Sumo and conventional are fine. There's no specifics on stance, grip, anything like that. That's completely up to the person lifting. Lift, and then lock out knees and shoulders back. So you have to be completely locked out. So no soft knees, no soft shoulders. That's not a good lockout. Knees locked, shoulders back. So you have to have a good lockout. And then the chief referee will say down, you lower the bar. The bar, you have to stay with the bar and maintain control of the bar the whole way down. Cannot get excited, cannot drop the bar, or that's gonna be red lights. So some of the other things that they're looking at with deadlift is you cannot have any downward movement. So no downward movement. Even after you lock out, if you move back forward, that's considered that you're moving forward before they give you the down command. So you cannot do that. So when you're doing the lift, again, no downward movement. You cannot use your thighs or legs to support the lift, so no ramping. So no ramping, no hitching. At the top, so no downward movement. Wait for the command and make sure you lock out. Don't drop the bar. Oh, you cannot move your feet. So until you get the down command, you cannot move your feet laterally. You can't step. So if you accidentally lose balance at the top and step backwards or step forwards, if you haven't gotten the down command yet, then that is reason for red light. So that is all the commands for all of the lifts. The most important thing that I would say is to, one, know the rules, but two, just know the commands. There's nothing worse than seeing somebody get a lift and then miss it on a command. So anyway, if you know these and practice them in your training, then you're going to have a great first meet. Have fun.